Good evening. I'm Alan Osborne. It's been a few days, but I'm doing some research and gaining some information and possession of some things. If you've been following me on the Noriega Point, here's where we're at. Very elected officials have approached the Attorney General and other people and asked for an investigation on Noriega Point, and they've been given the hand because it's election year. And I hope the people will realize that this ain't good for us. As I'm a conservative Republican, and this ain't what we need. We need people who are willing to enforce the law on Republicans, Democrats, independents, and illegal aliens and anybody else, and not stop because we have an election year. I don't know where the nation and the state of Florida has got off track with this. We've had such momentum to go in the right direction. But I digress. Noriega Point happened because of a lot of local issues. And a lot of local issues that have happened to me over the years, I've never been able to understand why. I've had my suspicions, but I suspect. So we're going to go back to the fireside chat by Alan Osborne, and I'll be posting this video around. And I want you to consider the implications of what I say. Okay, this has been posted around, and I'm just going to read this. And it reads like a Netflix movie series. Unfortunately, I believe it to be 100% true. Some of the names have been changed, and the names in here are not the correct ones. But you can figure this out if you're not too hard. And if you're from Walton County, I'll just tell you at the end of the show. So without further ado, a story from the Panhandle of Florida. The sea air in Oak Haven didn't just smell of salt. It smelled of sweet, expensive bourbon and the sharp, metallic tang of adrenaline. For Elena, the Oak Haven Collective, quote, wasn't just a social circle. It was a choreographed, symphony of skin and high-stakes leverage. In the sunken living room of the Marshside estate, the hierarchies of the town dissolved into a tangled heap of limbs. The real estate developer would watch from a leather armchair as his wife, expertly handled by a local deputy, while the ex-Department of Corrections captain, a man who spent his days enforcing the ironclad rules, surrendered his control to Elena's whims. The tax collector's employee, a man who spent his 9 to 5 processing liens and property seizures, became the architect of the most daring quote, keybowl nights. He used his bureaucratic precision and position to organize marathons of decadence that turned the small town elite into a primal, pulsing mass. These weren't just parties. They were hours of uninhibited voyeurism and multi-partner encounters that left the air heavy, and the, quote, respectable pillars of the community remained utterly compromised. But when the pleasure turned to paranoia, and politics moves on as it often does, the afterglow became a wildfire. And then it became blood. And after that became the great fracturing. The collapse began, as I say, the collapse began when the fun turned feral, as the power dynamic shifted within the county and the Panhandle. A playful encounter between the developer and junior staffer crossed a line into physical brutality. While some members tried to intervene, the group fractured into two camps. Those who were horrified by the sudden streak of violence, and those who realized that the violence was the only way to keep their secrets buried. Terrified of the shift, several couples tried to withdraw from the collective. They were met not with goodbyes, but with a systematic campaign of terror. The group just didn't break up, it turned the whole town and the area into a hunting ground. The very people who had once been tangled in Elena's sheets now used their professional tools to tighten a noose around her. The enforcers, the deputies who had once used their handcuffs for, quote, play, now use them for real. And they set up checkpoints trying to intercept those who flee the town searching for the, quote, digital contraband, the recordings of their own moans and the evidence of the violence that they had enacted in front of groups. The financial hitman, the mail tax collector employee, didn't just flag accounts. He weaponized the town's ledger. He began auditing the dissenters, seizing their homes and freezing their life savings under the guise of an administrative error to ensure they couldn't afford to run away. The warden's shadow also played a part. The ex-DOC professional treated the town like a maximum security wing. He utilized correctional tactics to intimidate the defectors, ensuring that accidents happened to anyone who whispered about the bruises they'd seen at the Marshside house. The hunt for the Red Room. When Elena watched from her darkened windows, they hunted from her. They patrolled the streets. They patrolled her street. She remembered the deputy's face, not as the man of the law, but as the man who had begged for her mercy just a month prior. Now he was one of the ones authorized to break her. The developer had leveraged his connections to pull her business licenses, and the tax clerk had ensured her lifestyle, quote, was being whispered about in every church pew in the town of Oak Haven. Remember, the names have been changed. They were protecting, quote, the vault keepers, the violent inner circle who held the master recordings of individuals while systematically ruined the lives of anyone who dared to leave the circle or defect. The final card. As they finally moved in, the former Department of Corrections captain led the charge. He burst through Elena's front door, breaking the door, his face a mask of professional coldness, hiding the memory of the nights he'd spent powerless in that very hallway. "Where's the drive?" he screamed. "Elena," he hissed, his hands resting on his service weapon. "Give us the footage or you'll disappear into a cell that we own." Elena didn't flinch. She took a sip of wine and tapped a single command into her phone. She sent out, quote, "Anchors away." The elite were now looking in the wrong direction. They spent weeks monitoring the lawyers, the journals, and the runaway couples. They never once looked at Arthur, the retired lighthouse keeper. Arthur, a man who'd never seen the inside of a swingers club, was currently sitting in his lantern room with a file that contained every high-definition groan, every act of uncurbed violence, and every, quote, pillar of the community caught in a position that would end their careers and probably their freedom. Arthur's finger hovered above the upload button. The destination? A public cloud drive linked to the town's community Facebook page, the state ethics board, and the local news desk. The attacks had to stop. The names of the residents who had been physically assaulted or blackmailed had to be cleared. And the legal harassment had to end once and for all in the town or county of Oak Haven, and the Oak Haven Collective was about to become the most watched and most condemned video series in the country about something that was true. The progress bar uploaded 99% on Arthur's computer. Arthur looked at the clock. The elite had exactly 60 seconds to pull back, or the town's moral leaders would find themselves naked and exposed before a world that was already watching. Now, that little story is posted online, but Alan Osborne believes that that story is real. I've changed the names. There's nobody's name in there, but how about taking a look at the Walton County Tax Collector's Office and what's going on and what's been going on? And how about searching social media, because I doubt you'll find it, and see if somebody's door was kicked in recently. Were there warrants? Were they correct? And why is a woman laying in jail? But for Sir Arthur, maybe, and it was Arthur, has found the sword in the stone, or was it really a thumb drive in the stone? Thumb drives and hard drives are the nightmare of those who would control the power in Walton County and the Panhandle. And they would do anything to keep its power and their secrets a secret. Well, I can just tell you that a lot of that ain't a secret no more. It's just waiting for its time for those of us who have been harmed. But the arrow's been shot, the bullet's been left the barrel. And there ain't nothing you can do. That little girl's going to change what I have. So these are things to think about on the Alan Osborne Show. It shouldn't be this way in America. We shouldn't have this. But on this election year, I think you're going to find out that there's some scandals that are so true that it should rock us to our core. And those of us who are afraid that a certain political group would lose power don't want this information out at any cost. And that includes destroying people or their lives. Think about it. Go listen to my story and decide, is it a story? You can't make this shit up on the Alan Osborne Show, but you can unelect it. You can prosecute it. If you're out there and you're a federal person, please give me a call. I've got some information that you might like to have, and some people who would like to talk to you about the events that they have experienced. You can't make this shit up, so stay tuned next time, because you ain't going to believe what I play on the Alan Osborne Show. Till next time, y'all keep them straight, because they can't keep them straight. Don't ever become a hostage to somebody. Don't do it. If you're in politics, if you're in a position of power, do the right thing. And when you don't, admit it and correct yourself immediately. You can't make up the shit you've seen about Scott Brannon on my post, and people said I attacked him. You damn right. He's caused a lot of harm. Scott knows what he's done to me. And the pictures of Scott when he was 25 to when he was 45 will show you what the price of power, money, and corruption can do to somebody. I'll leave the drug part out, but that's just all my opinion. And it's protected by something great called the Constitution, just like this video. Till next time, I'm Alan Osborne. Y'all keep them straight. And if they're an incumbent in Walton County, vote them out. Make a change. Don't be part of the people who just sit there on the sea of apathy, rowing away to the country of nowhere. This is America. Y'all take care of it. Till next time, I'm Alan Osborne.